All right, welcome back to Melon Mondays. As I said in the introductory episode last Monday, I wanted to spend the first episode talking about Missouri's abortion ban that was enacted whenever the Supreme Court made its decision to overturn Roe v. Wade and Casey. So I'll just get right into it. So as I said, on June 24th, the United States Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, ending the constitutional protection of abortion. And Missouri was one of 13 states that had a trigger law, meaning that once the decision was made, the law could be enacted. At 9:22 a.m., the Attorney General, Eric Schmidt, signed the trigger law, effectively banning abortion in the state of Missouri. It is important to remember that he is running for the Republican nomination for the open Senate seat. So as you can see, there's Attorney General's letter announcing the decision, and it quotes the trigger law. So, notwithstanding any other provision of law to the contrary, no abortion shall be performed or induced upon a woman except in cases of medical emergency. Any person who knowingly performs or induces an abortion of an unborn child in violation of this subsection shall be guilty of a Class B felony, as well as subject to suspension or revocation of his or her professional license by his or her professional licensing board. A woman upon whom an abortion is performed or induced in violation of this subsection shall not be prosecuted for conspiracy to violate the provisions of this subsection. And it goes on to state that the law was passed in 2019, but that's why it was called a trigger law, because, it wasn't considered constitutional whenever it was passed, so it couldn't go into effect until the Supreme Court overturned it. So after explaining the Supreme Court's decision, the Attorney General writes about Missouri's deeply rooted history on the issue. He quotes stuff from 1825, and something that I found that was interesting, in 1986, quotes, "The life of each human being begins at conception. Unborn children have protectable interests in life, health, and well-being, and the natural parents of unborn children have protectable interests in the life, health, and well-being of their unborn child." So it was interesting to see in a government document saying that the life of each human being begins at conception. I'm sure it's been done in other states, maybe towns. I've just never seen that position taken in a official document. Again, it's probably been in a lot of things. I just haven't seen it. And he spends the rest of his time writing about Missouri's pro-life past, as I said, and present with this law, ending his letter with, "Today, the overruling of Roe and Casey permits Missouri to renew its proud pro-life traditions and restore basic legal protection for the most fundamental human rights, the right to life." So that is the view, what seems to be the view of most Republicans, whether in Missouri or across the country. I don't know if I have seen any Republicans come out against the decision. Not saying there's not. I'm just saying I can't think of any right now. I know there have been a lot that have been strongly vocal in their support of the overturning, and others that have been silent on the issue. On the Democratic side, Democratic leadership, whether it's in the White House or Senate or House of Reps, have gotten a lot of criticism because their responses have been, lackluster and not, don't seem to come across as an important issue to them with how they're talking about it and responding. And there seems to be lack of emotion or care behind what they say. Besides a few representatives, and I want to show you one now from Missouri, Corey Bush, who represents the 1st District, St. Louis in Missouri, one of 2 Democratic representatives in Missouri. And I'm just going to show you real quick her reaction whenever the decision was made.
49 years. 49 years. And they stripped away. 49 years, 36 million people will be affected. And it's oh well. 36 million people, it's oh well. 36 million people, and this is a far-right extremist Supreme Court is making this decision that affects other people, that affects lives. When black women were, when we know that black women, the leading cause of death before 1973 was the sepsis that went along with these unsafe abortions. And to say, hey, we're good, we're going back there, we're going to send you back there. To know that people are already hurting, that people need services. This is healthcare. It's like mental health. It's like going to get the services for heart disease, get services for a toothache. It is health care. And it's nobody else's decision. 49 years.
We're going to keep fighting for it.
Absolutely. We will keep fighting. We will keep fighting, but the one thing that we know is that people will still have care. We're going to make sure that people still have care. There's still medication abortion as far as through the mail. We're going to make sure that people still have care.
And we've got more in store at the Board of Aldermen. Just you wait. Hang in there, Mama. I love you.
Yeah, so as you can see, very upset with the decision, as a lot of people are, and a lot of people in Missouri, frankly, are. And would like to note, Missouri's law banning abortion has said that you can have an abortion if it endangers the life of the mother, but there is not a very clear answer to that. So doctors don't know if the mother is going to die if she continues with the pregnancy until she's dying. And so there's been stories about doctors already having to call the hospital lawyer because they don't want to lose their job, and the hospital doesn't want to get sued by the state. Just to try to clear it up, a reporter out of Springfield, Missouri, asked the governor about clarifying language in Missouri's abortion trigger law to make medical emergency pregnancies more clear. He reiterated that Plan B was still legal, and he said, "I'm sure the health department will come out with some more clarifications or guides on that." The problem with that is that the law is already in effect, and so it's already, affecting people trying to get an abortion, or people who may need an abortion that are dying in hospitals. And because there's not clear language about how doctors can respond and when or when not doctors can induce an abortion, then probably not happening right now. And there's been some instances. Now, I will say I am not familiar with this source. I have seen similar stuff like this, but just questions like, are Missouri's pregnant patients being denied cancer treatment due to new abortion ban? And so that's like with chemotherapy and radiation that could be harmful to the pregnancy, where before Roe v. Wade being overturned, the pregnant person could get an abortion so they could get their cancer treatment. But now that may not be the case. And so it's not just affecting, or it may not just affect people giving birth, but also with other health conditions. And already, story out of Ohio, where a 10-year-old rape victim had to go out of state because in Ohio they had a 6-week abortion ban, and this 10-year-old had to go out of state to get an abortion because the state refused to allow it. And so that's been in the news a lot, so you've probably seen that story too. But that's just an example of already 2 or 3 weeks out of this decision, the impact it's having. And I believe, as I said, and if not, I'll just reiterate it now, Missouri's abortion law does not protect abortions in the case of rape or incest. So that same story could happen in Missouri while this law is in effect. And so people are upset. Democrats are in power. The White House, Senate, House of Representatives, they failed to codify Roe v. Wade. It died in the Senate. So the main response has been sending out fundraising emails and telling people to go vote, but it's not really the answer people want right now. They want action. And so people who are in favor of this decision to give it back to the states are now calling for a federal abortion ban, which is interesting because the Supreme Court decision said it should be up to the states. And then now, like former Vice President Mike Pence, when the decision was made, praised it and said there should be a federal ban. That is something that could be in the future of this country in as little as 2 years. Biden has very low approval rating right now, and if he runs again, he could lose to whoever the Republican nominee is. If it's Trump, Ron DeSantis, and if Republicans take the House and the Senate, they could pass a federal abortion ban in as little as 2 years. And if not 2 years, could be 6 years. Who knows? If you're still here at the end of this, I know it's not a happy news story, but it is important to be educated and know what's going on in your state, because this could easily affect somebody you know. It may have already affected somebody you know. So as I've said before, primaries are coming up August 2nd to vote for Democrat and Republican, also Libertarian, Independent, and Constitution Party nominees for the Missouri open Senate seat. So at this point, it is too late to register to vote if you are not already. And if you are, make sure you are educating yourself on the candidates, which I will be putting out episodes next Monday on the Missouri candidates. As of now, mainly focusing on the top two. Overall, Missouri's Democrat candidates are polling very, very low at like 10% and 8%. And then the rest are under 3%, I believe. But I'm looking through the other candidates to see who else to include, because like one of them didn't have a website, didn't have a presence. Another one did not have like any substance with their information, just saying they're running for Senate. So I'm not going to spend time covering them. Republican side, 3 main candidates. Trump just this morning, I believe, as I'm recording this, has ruled out endorsing Hartzler, I believe. Yeah, Vicky Hartzler. Just going to double check. Yeah, Vicky Hartzler. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, right here. Donald Trump says he won't endorse Vicky Hartzler. But as I said, that's going to be the next 2 weeks, going over Democrat candidates and Republican candidates. And then it'll be time for primaries, I believe, the next week. 3 weeks. So make sure you are educating yourself. Go out there. Make sure to vote. And I will see you next Monday with information about the candidates.